I want to talk about Protoss counters to the Marauder. So the Zealot can be pretty good. Reason number one, the Zealot is light, so it doesn't get bonus damage from the Marauder. But you really need the charge upgrade, because if the Zealot doesn't have charge, it is quite slow, and it gets even slower when it's hit by the Marauder concussive shells, so the Zealot without charge can be easily kited. But once you get charge, the Zealot gets so fast that even the slow by the concussive shells doesn't really matter, and the Zealot is able to connect to the Marauder and kill it. And because of this, because it is really good with charge, I think I'm going to take the Zealot into S tier. Then we have the Stalker. The Stalker unfortunately is not good. So the Stalker is armored. It gets bonus damage from the Marauder. On the other hand, the Marauder is also armored, so the Stalker deals a little bit of bonus damage to the Marauder. But if you go equal supply, then the Marauder beats the Stalker. And this is of course not good for the Stalker, because the Stalker is much more expensive. So therefore, I think I'm going to put the Stalker into C tier. Then we have the Adept. So the Adept also is light. This means that the Adept doesn't receive bonus damage from the Marauder. That's good. On the other hand, the Adept also does deal bonus damage only to light units, but the Marauder is not light. So none of the units is particularly good against each other. But I did the test, and the Marauder actually beats the Adept on equal supply. That's because the Adept has quite a low fire frequency, and it doesn't deal a lot of damage. The Marauder fires much quicker, especially with Stim, and is able to kill the Adept. Also, the Adept has only a range 4, so if you have good kiting skills, you can use the Marauder to kite the Adept. So Adept is also not good. I'm going to put it into C tier. Then we have the subscribe button. So if you like this video, please remember to subscribe and hit the like button. The High Templar is usable, mainly because of the Storm, but it's also not really good. So the Storm does 80 damage, and the Marauder has 125 health. So you need at least 2 Storms to kill a bunch of Marauders. And the Marauder, when it's stimmed, it is quite fast. It's usually going to run out of the Storm. So I would estimate that on average you maybe get 50 or 60 damage from a Storm to a Marauder. And this again means that you need 3 consecutive Storms to kill the Marauder. So the Templar is okay. Splash damage is always nice against Marauders, but because you need a lot of Storms, 3 Storms to kill Marauders, I think I'm only going to put it into B tier. Then we have the Sentry. So the Sentry number 1 is light. It doesn't receive bonus damage from the Marauder, but the Sentry's attack is quite weak, and the Sentry's spells are also not super useful. I mean, the force field is quite good. You can split a bunch of Marauders into 2 groups, but this is not specific to the Marauder. You can use the force field against anything. So force field is okay, but not super good. The hallucinations, of course, help you to tank Marauder damage. That's pretty good. Sentry also has Guardian Shield. The Guardian Shield removes 2 damage from each ranged attack. So it also removes 2 damage from the Marauder attack. But the Marauder has an attack of 10 plus 10 versus armored, so removing 2 points of damage from this attack doesn't really matter. The Guardian Shield is more strong against Marines or so, but the Sentry has some use. I think I'm going to put it into B tier. The Dark Templar is not really good. I mean, I'm assuming detection for the Marauder, of course, because the Dark Templar kills any unit without detection, but if the Marauder has detection, it can fight the Dark Templar. And the reason is, number 1, the Dark Templar is very expensive. It costs 250 resources in total. So this is as much as 2 Marauders. So for each DT, you get 2 Marauders. And the Dark Templar is light, so it doesn't take bonus damage from the Marauder. That's good. But the Dark Templar is not really fast, and it needs to close the distance, of course, because it is melee, and this gives the Marauder a lot of potential for kiting the Dark Templar, especially if the Marauder has the concussive shells upgrade. In this case, the Dark Templar gets slowed down quite a bit. I think the Dark Templar is pretty bad. It gets a little bit better if you have the Shadow Strive upgrade. I mean the Dark Templar Blink, because if you have the Dark Templar Blink, you can close the distance to the Marauder quickly. And once you close the distance, the Marauder falls quickly. But again, as I said, the Dark Templar is quite expensive, and it is vulnerable to kiting by the Marauder. So I think I'm also going to put it into C tier. Maybe if you have the Shadow Blink upgrade, maybe it becomes a B tier. Yeah, I think B tier is fine. Then we have the Archon. And the Archon, if you just look at the stats of the Archon should be really good against the Marauder. Because number one, the Archon is not armored. It doesn't get bonus damage from the Marauder. So it really takes a lot of Marauder shots to kill one Archon. Number two, the Archon has bonus damage against biological, and the Marauder is biological. That's good. And number three, the Archon is massive, so it cannot be slowed down by the concussive shells. However, one thing that really holds the Archon back is the range. So the Archon has only 3 range, and the Marauder has 6 range. So if you stim the Marauder gets quite fast, and you are able to do some good kiting against the Archon. But the kiting potential is limited because, as I told you, the Archon cannot be slowed down by the concussive shells, so it is actually not as easy to kite the Archon, and the Archon can take really a lot of Marauder shots. So I think I think I'm going to put it into A tier. I mean, if you just A move, the Archon completely destroys the Marauder. You have some kiting potential, but it's not that strong. So I think the Archon is pretty good. I'm going to put it into A tier. The Immortal is an interesting one because both units are good against each other. So the Immortal has bonus damage against armored. Marauder is armored, but on the other hand, the Marauder has also bonus damage against the Immortal because Immortal is also armored. So both units are okay against each other. But I did the test in the unit tester, and if you go equal supply, the Immortal beats the Marauder, okay? But the Immortal is much more pricey. It costs much more for the supply. So if you go equal cost, the Marauder actually beats the Immortal. So it's quite an undecided battle between the two. Equal supply, it's an advantage for the Immortal. Equal cost, advantage for the Marauder. So I think I'm going to put the Immortal into B tier. Then we have the Colossus. The Colossus is really not good. There's a couple of reasons for that. Number one, the Colossus is armored, gets bonus damage from the Marauder. Number two, the Colossus has bonus damage against light, and the Marauder is not light. So the Colossus really doesn't do a lot of bonus damage against the Marauder. Also, the Colossus has a double attack, and this means that each point of armor is subtracted twice from the Colossus attack, and the Marauder has 1 armor, so it really doesn't deal a lot of damage against the Marauder. The only things it has going for it is, number one, it is massive, so it is not able to be slowed down by the concussive shells. And of course, if you take the range upgrade, the Colossus gets a range of 9. This is really a lot more than the range 6 from the Marauder. And the splash damage is also nice. So it is not useless, but yeah, it just doesn't deal a lot of damage while it falls pretty quickly to the Marauder anti-armor bonus. So I think the Colossus is also a D tier, a C tier. Then the Observer, okay, it's an easy D tier. You don't need detection for the Marauder. Then we have the Disruptor. This is also an interesting one because in the current patch, the Disruptor only deals 100 damage to the Marauder. So this is 100 damage plus 100 to shields. So the Marauder gets only 100 damage. And this is, of course, not enough to one-shot a Marauder. And therefore, I think that the Disruptor is not very strong. Because, number one, it does not one-shot the Marauder. Number two, it gets killed by the Marauder very quickly because it is armor, it gets bonus damage. Number three, it can be slowed down by the concussive shells. So if you look at the last patch, in the last patch, the Disruptor did 145 damage. So this was one-shotting the Marauder. This was quite good, but since it doesn't one-shot anymore, it's not good in this current patch. And another thing is that the shot of the Disruptor, it needs some traveling time, and the shot can be cancelled if the Disruptor is killed while shooting, okay? And the Marauder can actually stim and run to the Disruptor and sometimes kill the Disruptor before the Disruptor even finishes its shot. Because, yeah, it gets bonus damage, so it gets really killed quickly by the Marauder. And you see this a couple of times. So in the current patch, it is really not good. It was strong, but currently I would also rate it into C tier. Then we have the Phoenix. The Phoenix, of course, doesn't have a classic anti-air attack, but you can lift the Marauder. It has very limited usefulness because, number one, for the price of one Phoenix, you get 2 Marauders. So even if the Phoenix lifts 1 Marauder, you still have 1 Marauder to deal damage on the ground. It's not very useful. And number 2, even if you lift the Marauder and shoot it with a Phoenix, the Marauder is not light, so it doesn't take bonus damage from the Phoenix. So it has some very limited usefulness for lifting the Marauder up. I think I would also rate it into C tier. Then we have the Void Ray, and the Void Ray, of course, is very good. So number 1, it is a flying unit. The Marauder doesn't have anti-air, so the Void Ray can kill the Marauder without being attacked. And the Void Ray also has a huge bonus damage against armored units, so it kills the Marauder very quickly. Therefore, I think I'm going to put the Void Ray into S tier. Just be careful for the Marines, because the Marauder is usually accompanied by Marines, and Marines are very strong against Void Ray, but Void Ray versus Marauder is an S tier counter. Then we have the thing here, the Oracle. The Oracle is also an air unit with a ability-based anti-ground attack, and I mean the ground attack, the pulsar beam of the Oracle, deals bonus damage to light, so it doesn't deal bonus damage to the Marauder, so it's not that good, but still you can use it against the Marauder. Also the stasis ward has some usefulness. You can place it, you can trap a bunch of Marauders. This is not Marauder specific, you can trap any unit, but I think it is okay, but eventually it will run out of energy, so I think I'm going to put it into B tier. The Mothership, of course, is yeah, I mean, it's the end of the tech tree, so it comes into the game pretty late, but once you have it, it deals good damage against the Marauder. It can hit multiple targets at once. The Marauder cannot shoot back, so I think I'm going to put it into A tier, but it doesn't deal a lot of damage, so it doesn't destroy Marauders or ground units super quickly, so it's just an A, not an S, I think. Then we have the Carrier, and the Carrier is of course very good. It has a good anti-ground attack, deals a lot of damage, cannot be attacked by the Marauder. Of course, it's also a very late gamey unit. You don't get it early, but I put it into S tier. The Prism here, the Prism is not an attacking unit, but it can support other units. For example, it can support Immortals. It makes the Immortal a little bit stronger. You can pick up the Immortal, but yeah, because it doesn't have an attack, I think I just put it into C tier. Then we have the Tempest. The Tempest also, I think, behaves like these units here. It is a flying unit with an anti-ground attack. It can kill the Marauder from the sky, but it doesn't even have any bonus damage. It only deals bonus damage to building and to massive ships, but not to armored ground units like the Marauder. So it can kill the Marauder, but it doesn't deal a lot of damage. So I think I'm going to put it into A tier. And the cannon is also not really good, mainly because the Marauder has bonus damage against armored and a high damage output. So a bunch of Marauders are actually quite good against the cannon. So I think, but the cannon is of course cost efficient. So I think you need 2 Marauders or so to kill a cannon. So I put it into B tier. Alright dudes, that's it. Thanks for watching.